Attention everyone, the views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. Good morning! Coming to you live from Acts Media Group headquarters here in the beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay with your hosts, Matt and Jay. Steve's not here today, but that's all right. We're missing him. We miss him. Today's special guest will be in here shortly. Johnny Rooster will be live with us.
Interviewing his son.
His son is stationed in Italy. We're going to talk to him about non-military things.
Always be 2, 3, but that's all changed. That's all changed. And you set this captive free. I want to live.
Jeremiah Umans right out the gate. Scott Holland.
Good morning, Jeremiah. Good morning, Scott.
I want to worship you.
How many times did we play this song over and over again before we got one that we liked? During the recording of this.
I know if you are with me,
Nothing could ever be against me. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. For thou art with me. When troubled times they come my way, I throw my hands down and say, 2, 3, you've got this load. I love that song. I love singing and playing that song because the message in it is, you know, I want to worship you. I want to live for you. And I know if you are with me, nothing could ever be against me. I'm not afraid, for thou art with me. Now, we were talking about some pretty heavy stuff this morning. Good morning, Marcia Holland, Susan Burrows. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said your last name like that. Susan, I apologize. Larry Melton. Good morning. Steve Schultz. Everybody's already getting settled in this morning. Day one of the stay-home order.
Yes.
So, and, basically go to work, go to the grocery store, boom, stay home.
Yeah.
You know, and I went to a very prominent retail store on the north side, and it was an absolute madhouse. It was a zoo. That was a couple days ago.
Did you get what you needed?
Not there.
No.
But they had everything I needed at a different one that I go to that's closer, and it's on the way home.
Right.
And it was almost like normal. I mean, there were some shelves that were bare, but
Yeah.
they weren't like entire aisles. It was just like one little section of particular things like, rice and beans and stuff. Toilet paper, I assume, because I don't look for toilet paper right now because I don't need it.
Yeah.
The problem with that toilet paper issue was everybody bought it all up. Now people who aren't panic buying need it, and they don't have it.
Or
And then
who
they
just happened to be out of toilet paper at that time.
Yeah. Like you said before, now you're going to walk around with people that don't have any toilet paper. Do you really want to be around people like that?
Listen,
Yeah.
and that's how I look at it too. Is I'd rather be the guy that stinks.
Morning, Sissy Brooks.
I'd rather be the guy that stinks than to be around the guy that stinks.
That's a very good point.
You know what I
It's
mean?
a very good point. And me, I'm a bigger guy, so I always get paranoid about smelling. I don't want to smell.
Yeah, neither.
Because I work around, I shouldn't touch my face.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's a really hard habit to break.
Yeah.
Really hard habit.
I wouldn't out people about that. I mean, that is a
It is going to
serious
be a
issue.
beautiful day, Sissy. It's going to be a beautiful day. What?
Bad hygiene is something that should be quietly, gently, and
Yeah.
lovingly addressed between the person who's being affected by the smell and the person who is
Leaving the aromatic bouquet of love everywhere
Yes.
they go.
Because that's a pretty sensitive thing.
It is, and it's
accept.
embarrassing. It's embarrassing. You can't just say, go up to, like, let's say somebody has really smelly armpits or whatever, and that happens a lot, especially coming up on summer. Steve McAllister, morning, buddy.
And there's a lot of reasons why people don't prioritize that, which are actually exponentially difficult issues to live with already. You know what I mean? If you think of
Yeah.
all the reasons why a person would say my hygiene and how I smell doesn't matter, think about all the reasons why that wouldn't matter to somebody. I think those are more important and bigger reasons in a person's life that we should address and try to
Yeah.
remedy than to start
my
with
face
the
again.
smell, because they're not caring too much about that. Usually is something that develops over time as they're seeing that as true. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Maybe a person's grumpy. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Just by nature, and doesn't even realize it. Well, people don't want to interact with them, so then if nobody's ever close to you, why does it matter if you stink? You know what I mean? So there's all kinds of personal issues and reasons why a person might not place hygiene at the top of their priority list.
Yeah.
And those are the things we should look to and look for addressing.
Yeah. I mean, are they depressed?
Yes.
And a lot of times that's what it is people are battling depression. They don't feel like showering, or they're just downright lazy.
Was there a time in their life when they just happened to stink and somebody mocked them? And so now they either a spirit of rebellion is in them to inflict that on everyone
Right.
because they were wronged, and now that's the closest thing they can find to revenge.
Like when, like
You know-
I was in junior high. We
The
had
human mind is odd.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry,
It's very
junior
odd.
high.
In junior high, we had a choice between regular lunch or salad bar. Salad bar, you could get all the salad you wanted.
Yeah.
And that's my first go around with buttermilk ranch, and it was amazing.
Which is peachy.
And I learned, somebody gave me a hard time because they said my breath smelled like ranch or something, but grosser. They said something like that. But
Right.
So I started, and this is really gross. I'm sorry, everybody. I was in junior high, and I'm a guy. Men are gross. Anyways, so I thought it was hilarious to, like, belch and blow it in their face. That's disgusting.
Right.
That is, I know that now. I thought it was hilarious back then.
And that's what I mean is
Yeah.
what does that come
Retaliation.
Where does that
Morning,
come
Priscilla.
from? And those are the real issues. How a person smells is not a real issue. Why a person would allow themselves to be
Yeah, he
in
says.
that condition, I think, is what's important.
Larry says those people that stink are trying to save water. Now, I also know people that I've known people that don't wear deodorant and they don't smell. You can't smell them. I also know people that have used crystals and they still smell.
Yeah.
And then, like, up at work, you got people, they wear the same uniform shirt.
Yeah.
And regardless
And a
of
person could have a bacteria problem. Usually
Yeah.
bacteria is what causes the actual that unmistakable BO, not like a
Johnny
dirty,
Rooster's on.
not like a dirty smell, but a body odor smell, that unmistakable. That's caused from a bacteria.
Yeah.
That releases a gas when it encounters moisture.
And let's pray for those truck drivers out there, specifically for the company I work for. They slip seat,
Yeah.
which is where, they keep the trucks on the road with multiple drivers.
Right.
And a lot of people get into a truck and it smells terrible and it's just nasty.
And since Larry's now I want to say something real quick to Larry. I know this may not be the appropriate time, but it's because it's hard. He's hard to get contact sometimes, and it's important. This weekend, I know I was supposed to be there. I cannot be there. Something came up. I do have something Sunday where I'm supposed to teach. I have to prepare for that, and then there's going to be music, which I am not doing, thank God, because that would be horrible. So I have to work with
I would
that
love to hear-
and arrange that in a way that would be a good service for a small group of people under 10
Yeah, it'll be not probably like 8 people there.
with enough room to social distance and to follow the law.
And
obey the law.
we might broadcast that, or at least record it and upload it.
Yeah.
Because people are needing church right now.
And I think small church in your home, in your neighbor's house,
Good one, Johnny.
or in your house with your neighbors, with small groups is an appropriate thing right now. And I think that is what we've missed. Yeah, I think the church has failed in this new age. Really, I do. And if you think about it, how important is it becoming that faith is something we express now in the light of this coronavirus, and then as that exponentially becomes more difficult for us with the closings of all the things, with the shutdown of, closing of the borders, supply chains being, strained because of high demands and everything. With all that going on, there's a lot of stress. And where was I going with that?
I don't know.
I lost track of
when
what
we
I
were
was
talking about the odors and stuff. Johnny Rooster, he's on his way in here, by the way.
Good.
But I don't know if he's at the building or not. But he says this topic stinks. Stephanie Brown, good morning.
But what I mean is, so with all that, now all of a sudden we're finding that it's more important for us to express our faith to others and to try to teach and bring people to the Lord, and to find others who are supportive of our beliefs that are now coming to the surface and becoming more of a priority in our life. Well, that's how the church has failed. And I'm sorry to say I'm a member of the church, and I've failed. I haven't brought people to church, maybe one or two.
Well, he's not sorry to say he's a member of the church.
I'm sorry to say I'm sorry to say that I've failed in that.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be failing in that. And if this brings us closer to our neighbors and makes our churches more local, as in next door, because there's one everywhere in every house.
In every house.
Because there is a church, there is possibly, it's possible there could be a church in every house, as we are the church.
Yeah, how it was in the good old days.
And to have a church in every home, witnessing to the other people in that home, is something we could only hope for.
And if it's nice enough, have it outside in your front yard.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And what I mean by as a member of that family, we are the church. If there's a member of every family who is the church in that home.
That's true. Stephanie says lots of stress makes people mean and cruel. That is very true. Steve Schultz says many churches are doing services online. Still not the same without
Johnny
fellowship.
Rooster's here. Yes. Is it on?
It's over here. You're over here. You're by me.
Did we turn him on?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
I heard you saying that.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
So
You are the church.
so we'll be calling your son today.
Yeah.
That's why I'm having you sit by me so you can put his number in my phone.
Oh, well, we can't use a number because it doesn't connect. It only connects through Facebook. That's the only way to reach him because of the international.
So I need to let me friend request him.
Okay.
Because
I just kind of realized that the standard telephone wasn't available through international, but let's see what we can.
We'll get to him here.
What kind of magic we can work.
Well, we can.
Good morning, everybody.
Steve McAllister says, "Hey, John, that's my seat."
Yeah, it's
Laugh
nothing.
out loud.
I thought his seat was across from me. I don't know if he's confused.
No, I think he.
Oh,
was,
he referred to my sitting by Jay.
Yes. Yeah.
He's on it.
Yeah, and
I don't want to
believe
sit
that's
on
right.
anybody's lap.
So Steve Schultz says many churches are doing services online, still not the same without fellowship. Now, that is still a good opportunity to learn and for a pastor to teach his flock. But at the same time, I think Steve's right with the absence of fellowship.
All right. So, real quick, some little, what's his? Tony Hammock says, "Okay, let's do some yard work."
Yeah.
Now, all right. Personally, I feel there's less stress about the COVID-19 right now for some reason. I don't know if that's just me personally or if that is just the energy that's going around.
It might be. Let's just buckle down and get done what we got to
Right.
do.
Yeah.
I guess the Senate voted unanimously on that bill last night. To my understanding, now it's got to go back to the House for them to vote it to go before the president for signing, correct?
Yes, and basically the Senate is Democrat controlled and the House is Republican controlled. So there's where the conflict. The Senate can get all kinds of things included. Now, they were talking about the Green New Deal, and I'm not against it. You know what I mean? Not the Green New Deal in its entirety. I'm against.
Yeah, because it's crazy.
Because of its timeline and all of that. But the Green New Deal, I don't think. Why shouldn't we be leading
true, Steve
in
Schultz.
alternative energy sources? Why shouldn't we be leaning in solar power? Look, I see on the internet all the time people who are effectively using solar power.
Okay.
And they have it combined with other sources of power. But I think that is a good thing. Why couldn't we be better at that?
Well, is it effective for all situations, though?
No.
There's places that wouldn't be effective.
Right now.
What do you mean? Is there
Because
gonna
of
be a
the
change?
technology.
Okay, but the technology, I would say it's not economically feasible for some people either, for some situations.
Like what?
Well, they're in, like I said, an area where it's tree cover.
Right.
That's
more
hard.
Right.
You might tell your son that he'll
But
be getting
as
a
you
call
know,
from me.
Okay.
we have a grid where we can transmit power a very long distance.
Well, he accepted that friend request quick.
You know what I mean? The grid solves that. That's what the problem has always been, and that's why we have a grid. So we can transmit power,
transmit power,
from where it's
okay.
easily being made to
Okay,
where
so
it's
like
not so easily made.
the solar fields are able to transmit power.
Right.
Like
But there's also a problem in that solar fields, in order to be effective in our quantity and our use levels,
Okay.
is ineffective because it would take up
He's ready.
It would take up every spare
Okay.
spot.
we'll be telling
But
we'll
I'm
be
saying
getting
we
to
could
him
be
here in
better
a
at
couple
that.
minutes.
And I don't want to get off on that because that's
Yeah,
not,
it's a little bit of a
Today's
trail
today's
today.
I just want to bring up the title of today's show is A Joyful Spirit is Good Medicine.
yes,
Um,
and it is.
and with Johnny Rooster here, it's going to be kind of a kooky day today. We're looking forward to a little lightheartedness, but we're also going to get a little bit serious on you today as
Seriously
well.
lighthearted.
My
seriously.
joy is in the Lord. I'm
Yes.
happy to be,
Amen to that. There's
a
no
Christian.
argument here.
and I love the Lord. Yes.
I remember a comment as I was going up the elevator to hear you guys. It was like, he's not something about being a member of the church. You're not sad to say about that.
No.
No.
No, I am grateful that I am.
Jim Whining says the return on solar investment is so high, the return on investment is 30 plus years out. I'm not.
No, I think they've reduced that. It depends. Yeah,
But is the
depends on where
technology-
you live.
Depends on the, yes, definitely.
People
Wherever it
live-
is, you want to be in a sunny place.
Yes,
Well, if you're in Arizona, it's better than if you're in Seattle.
in a sunny
True.
place, it's like 7 years where you pay it off, and then
Anywhere's
it
better
works.
than Seattle, isn't it?
It's rainy there.
And
Go ahead.
so then its effective use is reduced by 20% over 20 years. So after 20 years, the equipment you bought is only working at 80% of its original capacity, which
How-
is still very good, I would argue.
Matt, how does Jay know so much about so much?
He is.
I
He's
research and study.
he's really smart. He's got
this-
smart pock.
He's got a tattoo. It says encyclopedia. No.
Yeah,
that's
no.
not. That's so-
Actually,
that's
he's
so
the only.
outdated.
I think you're one of the only friends. Do you have a tattoo?
Do I have a friend?
Do you have a tattoo? No.
no. I'm tap free.
That'll
You have a friend
actually
in
be the next show of Johnny, the Morning Mouth with Johnny Rooster and Pastor
Me
Matt.
howling in pain as
having
I
a
get a
friend.
tattoo on the air.
Oh, that would be funny.
That would be
Let's
hilarious. Like
Um,
it says
no,
not
he
an
knows a lot.
It'll say
He's-
not an encyclopedia, but still a good guy.
He's way better at researching and retaining the stuff that he reads
Yeah,
than I am.
this guy has a depth of stuff, and I come in here and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm learning stuff every 3 seconds. Whereas when I'm talking, I'm just hearing myself.
And that is not a bad thing, Jay.
Not
Don't
a
let him
bad
give you a
thing.
complex.
Well-
These are compliments. These are rooster compliments.
Right. It's not always good for me,
Don't get too cocky.
but it is. It's not always good for me, but it is me.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody here, as you
I
can
love you,
tell,
Jay. I cherish you for that.
Yeah.
I think we have a very
Thank you.
interesting program because of some differences that
Absolutely.
we obviously carry.
We're going to call your son, and I do want to talk to
Awesome.
him. I think
He is
This
on
is-
standby. My son is Mark. He's in the Navy, and he's stationed
Oh,
in Naples,
you know what I need to do?
Italy.
Naples, Italy.
Naples, Italy.
Which
He
is in the north, the south.
It is in
where?
the south of
It
Rome.
is.
Thank
And
God for that.
the
One
worst
vowel
of
away
the
from being a bad
epidemic is in the north
In
of
the
Italy, and Mark has been there probably since the end of July of last year.
Now,
So-
they've implicated like a martial law. You can't actually flee the North.
Right. We're gonna hear some more about that from Mark, but he is in the religious program specialist is what his designated rank is. He is assisting the chaplain and working in a hospital, and the needs of the hospital change from civilian to military needs on a lot of it's a lot of changes. It's a big military base. He's calling it like a miniature Washington D.C.
He's
There's
probably
a lot
seeing
of stuff right there in
he's
Naples.
probably seeing some. So, like the stock market is very volatile, but going down
Right.
in general, and it's
Correct.
as a religious. What did you say his title
He
is?
is a religious program specialist, a branch of the Navy that began in 1979.
So he's probably seeing in his line of work, in his specific field, the same volatility, but on an upward trajectory. And I'm interested to ask him.
Yeah,
that.
we might ask about that. There's some things that they're restricted now that they weren't as active as they were before the crisis.
So
Yeah.
I'm the only one here with tattoos.
Okay, so you can be
Anyways.
proud or you can be ashamed.
Now I've
whichever
got
you
two
decide.
friends,
It's up
three
to you.
friends that don't have any tattoos because
We're
Jeremiah
clean.
Humans doesn't.
We're
Yes.
clean.
We are
Andrea
locked in the
Rooster
blood.
Croft. Andrea Rooster, welcome to the show.
Wake up, young lady.
She says, "Hi, gentlemen. Johnny Rooster on the air." Steve Schultz said, there was a couple of updates. 5 members of a Missouri family has tested positive for coronavirus. And then, of course, your wife put a little... I think that monkey is on his knees praying, it looks like.
I hope so.
Praying
And
monkey.
he's on
Sometimes
land, your
monkeys
son.
don't pray. He is a land.
He is not on a
Sailor.
ship. Oh, yeah, you already caught that.
They,
All right.
caught it, they call him a cobblestone sailor. A little slang for
Hey,
that.
my name
More
is
than
Cobb.
3 million workers, U.S. workers, filed for unemployment claims last week, a record high. But, of course, that's not something that we were expecting that, obviously, and it's forced. So,
Which may not be so bad for some of them, because what I was seeing as a cashier
Joyful
was
spirit.
a lot of people who were working unbelievable hours. I mean,
Yeah.
just it's unreal, and it's not only unreal, and you wonder how they do it, but as from the experience of someone with the back that's injured, because I was working way too many hours, even on my free time, I was remodeling a house, and it was a lot labor. When I see people getting laid off for this reason, for some of them it might be doing them some good.
all right.
Yes, it might
'Cause
be.
I already,
because,
yeah, I already put
employees.
that
there's a
down here,
lot
see?
of variable in the crisis. There's some people
Stationed
working
in
more, some
Italy.
people working less. So it's
Yeah.
going to be a variable.
I
Yep.
already put that. I'm just making sure
Awesome,
they know
awesome.
that you're not, for people who just
My
tune in.
son is Mark, and I am John, and he is.
Do you have a son named Matthew?
I do.
Awesome. He's got
People
to be
are
really
wanting
awesome.
to know about this thing and the Bible names, the Gospels. I'm John. My oldest is Luke, then Mark, then Matthew, and of
In that
course there was a
order.
pause.
Right.
There was a 6-year break, and then Malachi was born because there's a lot of gap between Malachi and Matthew in the Bible. We did that in reverse.
I was named after Matthew and James. Matthew James. That's
See
me,
how
you know?
the Bible names and the tattoos are
Now,
just
Malachi.
going on. Malachi is the last book of the Old Testament.
Okay, we're
right
getting ready to
before
call
the
your
book
boy up
of
here.
Matthew.
Oh, I see,
So that's
yes.
why we are going in reverse. And we stopped having kids after Malachi because those Old Testament minor prophet names aren't our favorite. After Malachi,
Right,
it's
and you don't have a name for a new child.
and you don't want to keep having children when you're my age. So life
And
just
when you run
continues.
out of names.
All right, tell him
too,
we're
that's
not gonna-
and energy. You run out of energy.
This
at-
isn't going to be a video call, so I'm just going to hit the little sound
Okay,
thing
so
because
we're going with-
you get better reception that way. I
So
believe.
we've got him.
Yeah, he's ready.
awesome.
You guys are going to hear the.
Mark is always ready. He's
Remember,
on
don't
top.
ask him anything about the military because.
well. He can tell you what
Okay.
he can talk about.
Can I ask a question?
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Good morning.
Mark Cockcroft, everybody, stationed in Italy. We thank you for your service, first of all.
That's my boy. Hey, good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Good morning.
Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Good.
Hear you fine. Thanks for being willing to answer some questions, spend a little time with us this morning, and of course, where you are, it is afternoon.
Yes. I do want to go on that I am not a spokesman for the Navy. I'm just doing this as a civilian. So that's
you.
living in Italy. I'm not a spokesman for the Navy. I do not the Navy does not approve.
Perfect.
Just kidding.
Right.
We totally get that.
Your views are not necessarily those of the Navy and or their subordinate affiliate.
We say that all the time. It's
Such
like
and
the
such.
views expressed on this program. So we get
Yeah.
it. We get it, Mark.
Yes, I'm just making sure that that's out there.
Yeah, he's not a
in case
Navy
this-
spokesman.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is not a spokesman for the Navy.
Navy is
This
not a
just me
sponsor.
looking at-
Though I do have
Come
a
on.
question
It's funny.
relevant to that. In your, what is your title in the Navy?
I am known as RP3 Cockcroft, Religious Program Specialist, Petty Officer, 3rd Class.
Religious Program Specialist. Now, I was talking about in comparison. So the stock market is volatile. It's up and down, in sharp spikes, but its trajectory is down. Are you seeing the
Okay.
opposite trend in the influx and need or desire for people to get more involved in these programs that you manage?
The way that we're doing it here is a little bit different. Just like anywhere else, all churches are closed as of right now. So only like individual prayer is allowed. We do have chapel services still open, but that's only for individual prayer, and there's like a 6-foot rule that is going on.
Are you seeing?
And that's everywhere.
Wow.
Are you seeing
So-
more people coming in?
In my opinion, I see I do see more people being more reserved than they used to be. The social distancing is having an impact on people, whether they are turning to God or whether they're turning to other things. They are definitely usually in crisis. There is a spike in people that would attend churches or people that will turn to God in crisis.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And so are those who were always coming becoming more serious and more outgoing with their faith?
In some areas, yes. It's kind of hard to monitor where we're at right now with the social distancing.
Yeah.
You can look online. There are many people, pastors, chaplains, that are reaching out to their audiences. You can see this even in the States. as well.
Are you also able? With social distancing, you said 6 feet. Is that going to affect how you live in your barracks?
As of right now, it's you're basically like being quarantined with your family. So if you have like kids and stuff, you're not going to like always be 6 feet apart from them. So it's the same in the barracks. You're just with their and your roommates.
All right.
So
And you
That's-
do you the work there, the hospital there where you're connected, is that primarily serving civilians, military, or both? Does that change?
nothing has changed with our day-to-day operations. Just the coronavirus, so we are limited staff. Other than that, we are still servicing as much as we can
Well,
as normal operations.
here in Springfield, I do food deliveries. Just 2 days ago, I was delivered to a hospital to a person that was working at the hospital but wasn't allowed to enter. There's people with masks at the front door, and they're screening everybody to come in. Is it that way at that hospital, or?
Yes, all hospitals are like that as of right now. It doesn't matter what type of hospital you are. That is, if that's what you're seeing, then that's what's being projected out, even here.
Now, in what we have a situation with New York in that people are fleeing New York. They're pouring out. Are you and they're advising them not to do that because they can spread the virus that way. Are you
So,
limited even in that? So are they allowing people to flee the north?
So when this all first started, there was hint of that the government was going to quarantine that entire area. So a lot of people did flee. What that caused was an entire government shutdown because people were fleeing and spreading the virus unknowingly. Because according to some experts, they don't even know if they have the symptoms. You might have it for 3 to 4 days. Now, I am not an expert on the medical side, so I can't say too much into detail about those things, but from what we saw in Italy, people did flee and it ended up with an entire government shutdown. So
So the
we did see
recommendation
that-
is not to flee, but to stay put and not keep moving?
Yes, the best thing to do is not to panic. That's any scenario in life is not to panic.
Yeah.
We are going to get through this. We are working on the best to our abilities on how to fight this. But fleeing is not the answer because there's nowhere to run.
I see a mix of things. So fleeing, I think, is selfish. In light of the fact that you may be spreading something dangerous to other people, I think is selfish. I also see people making sacrifices, and being more generous and kind to their fellow man, being more willing to open a door or hold a door because they've already taken the risk. I assume because it's the same reason I hold a door a little bit more right now is because I've already taken the risk. I've already touched that handle. Why open somebody else up to that exposure?
True. I've done the same thing.
Now, are you seeing a mix of that as well?
Specifically door opening, I haven't seen a whole lot, but I haven't been out a whole lot into town recently.
So you guys are really locked down.
Oh yes, Italy is. It's really locked down. We have to have a
do they
decree.
enforce that? They have a decree, or how do they enforce the lockdown?
So every civilian or every person in Italy has to have a piece of paper saying, this is where I'm going and why. That's basically what the decree, it's called a self-decree form.
Travel papers.
Yes, these are travel papers within your own government now. Being said,
we had a real quick question from one of our listeners, and I kind of was wondering too. Now you may be able to tell us or not. What is a religious program specialist?
We assist chaplains. We are their administrative support and their combat experts. We are their bodyguards, and we are the paper pushers for chaplain.
Oh, wow. Nice.
That's the most basic form of a religious program specialist. We run the services, and they will and they conduct the services.
Now, it's true that you carry a weapon to protect the chaplain who does not carry a weapon? Is that how it works?
Chaplains are non-combatives according to the Geneva Convention. So as an RP, we are, if we go into a combat zone, we will be the ones carrying the weapons. Chaplains are not allowed to carry weapons. For if they do get captured, they are considered non-combatants, and they will continue being chaplains until they are released if they follow the Geneva Convention.
Oh. Thank you for that. Sorry, I had someone asked that question about 5 minutes ago. So
that's a good. Yes. So there are very few RPs in the Navy. There's only about maybe a little under 1,000 of us. Maybe close to 500. I'm not sure on the numbers.
If it's okay, can you share real briefly the extremely unusual circumstances that led you to that position? Remember how hard it was for you to get into that, and then how unusually that opened up for you?
Well, yes. My personal experience, I tried joining the Marine Corps first and was denied for having club feet, which is it's a genetic disorder of the feet. You can look that up, but club feet, basically, my feet were born backwards. I had to go through 12 operations, and so a staff sergeant pointed me in the directions of entities called the RPs, where they serve chaplains and they still get to carry weapons. So I thought that sounded cool.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, I was trying to get that contract. I didn't get it at first in boot camp, but then I lost my previous contract and then got it in boot camp.
So. And you were willing to go to a different contract just to work your way into it, and yet that was an extreme example of your willingness to do something. It was a submarine duty, and it would have been really a different life for you.
Yes.
So the thing was, he didn't qualify for the submarines, and he got put into this only opening was religious program specialist. Nobody wants it. Do you want it? Kind of thing. And he's like, exactly what I want. Thank you.
Yes. And do you see that as God's sovereignty?
Personally, yes, I do. I believe that. Awesome. I feel like God had me join at the right time. Yeah. Because I'm a petty officer 3rd class now, which is, if you go to other rates, it's really hard. I'm leading people. I'm only 19 years old, but I'm leading people that are like 24, 25.
Do
and
they
older
have-
than me.
Do they ever have issues with that, or is that
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
But everybody listens at the end of the day. The job gets done. In the
I think,
Navy,
Mark,
so.
as your dad, I think most people that see you always think you're 39 when they're listening to you anyway. And your older brother, they think he's the 19-year-old, and I can say that because he would agree.
Yeah.
My oldest and I are the frivolous ones, and my younger one's more intense. So
Yeah.
How's your sense of humor, and how do you see people getting along? Is there a sense of humor still, and people are finding joy?
It's Johnny's son.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that does say it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Mark, you've always had a unique sense of humor. I'd say
Yes.
you would call it dark humor. you laugh at the things that people are like, oh,
Right.
it's funny.
Yeah.
But you've got a good way to rebound.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, with my personal experience dealing with sailors and a few Marines, we do have a darker sense of humor, but at the end of the day, we're actually able to check up on each other. And I'm in a unique way where that the Navy's focus is to get the mission accomplished, but my focus is to focus on the people that are trying to get that mission accomplished.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm still working within the exact same parameters, even with this coronavirus. I still check up on some of my friends, some of my sailors. It's definitely difficult because I can't just go around and like, hey, what's up, guys? And usually I'm the friendly RP that gives out candy and we give out coffee usually, but we've had to suspend some of those programs just because of how severe the coronavirus is spreading in Italy. So those are a few things that we've had to overcome.
Now, without mentioning names or being specific, how often do you get to see a person who's really struggling as a result of their service in the military
I have
turn
seen,
around?
I have seen numerous people.
And it's because of their faith that restores them?
It's different for each person. The chaplains are trained specifically on how to deal with our type of lifestyle when it comes to the military. My chaplain especially, they are very tuned in to what the sailors, to what the Marines need. In fact, a lot of people who come to our offices do see improvement, and I get to witness that as a silent witness.
Yeah.
So I have seen a lot of lives changed because of our programs.
You see them
And
come in
the-
day one all freaking out or messed up, and then as each day goes by, you see an improvement. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and when we walk in, we have to carry that faith. We have to carry that presence because when we're walking in, usually people, we don't know their circumstances. We don't know if they're like down in the dumps because 3 out of 4 people will tell you that they're not all right, and it's easy to see. But there's always that one person, 1 out of 4 people, that it is hard to tell. Like they may be smiling and going through the motions, but at the end of the day, they're just going through something that none of us can really understand. And with that being said, we all have lives. We all have families. We all have pressures and stress. So the military has figured out a way to kind of cope with that, how to work with them. So when we go in, we bring a calming presence. They always know us. They call us God Squad,
God,
That's pretty cool.
that's cool. Hey, tell us
They're
about
like, don't mess with these.
the tattoos, because we were talking about that earlier. The military and the Navy is often associated with tattoos. Is that still a thing, or is everybody getting them and it's no biggie? Or is there any military-specific tattooage going on? Tattooage.
I like that.
It's different between the branches. The Navy is the most relaxed, I think, when it comes to tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Marines, they still have specific standards. It can't be in this place. It has to be like a 1/4 inch, or I don't know the exact regulations for Marines or
Because they
but
consider
for the Navy.
they consider tattoos as positive identifiers, and they don't want their men in the field to be easily positively identified, right?
With that being said, the Navy we are combative, but we are combative with like ships and other things. We're not like Marines per se, where we're down in the fighting force unless you're a corpsman or an RP. Those are the only 2 combative rates within the Navy that work alongside.
So, Mark, you said you are in a combative rate, even though you're
Yes, I am.
religious? Okay.
Yes, I am the RMT's sword, basically.
Are there RPs
So-
on ships routinely as well?
Yes. There are RPs on ships.
That's
Wherever a
RP
chaplain
religious
goes, we
program
will go.
specialist.
Oh, RP, that religious program.
Religious program. Sorry about that.
Now,
all
I
that
got a
lingo.
question from Steve Schultz, one of our viewers. He was wanting to know, are you, he says, so, and this is in the form of a question, so you aren't allowed to minister to the people, just the chaplain?
A minister. Can you rephrase that question?
Are you allowed to minister the people? Are you allowed to minister to people as well, or just the chaplain?
Like, does the chaplain have that
we-
job, or do you have that job? Is that what he's asking?
Well, he's wanting to know if he
So-
can.
I think he understands.
RPs are religious program specialists, but we do not have to be religious in nature as an RP. You can be atheist, you can be agnostic. Your job is just to be administrative support and
Protection.
protection. Yes. You do not have to be religious to be a religious program specialist. You just have to know the programs, basically.
However, you do operate the religious programs. You like
So
you
you-
set up for
um,
the services, etc.
Are you specifically allowed, since you are religious, are you specifically allowed to minister to the people, or is that only, is the chaplain the only one allowed to do that?
So I'm allowed to profess my faith any way I wish. I am just not the one giving the religious rites, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So the
Yes,
religious
yes,
rites are
makes sense.
reserved for chaplains and lay leaders.
Are you
Lay
in a,
leaders are representatives of their faith group if a chaplain of their faith group.
That are
Gotta
not
put-
licensed or ordained.
yeah,
It's a
it'd
lay
be like
person.
a lay leader. I can understand that. Are you able to connect with people on that level because of your position?
Yes, a lot of people just assume you're religious just because you're an RP.
Right.
So I mean, for me, that doesn't affect my everyday living. But it's different for every RP. We are listeners. We will listen. Our job is people based. So if we have a task we're doing and somebody starts talking to us, we stop everything we're doing and we give them our undivided attention.
That's really
It's
cool.
like a social worker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great.
So that's, thank you for answering that question. That was from Steve Schultz. That's really
Yes.
cool. That's your duty, is to stop everything you're doing. Right?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Is there a chance that we could actually get to speak to you again in a couple of weeks to see what kind of progression there is? Not just with the coronavirus things, but also in how people are reacting and responding to faith-based or faith-inspired ways, you know?
Yes. I don't see a problem with that as long as I know which day and stuff. I do have a lot more watches coming up, and we're reopening our offices for a little bit. So.
Okay.
Are things calming down with the virus or heating up in Italy? Are they getting?
Overall, it's actually getting a little worse. But in the long run, it's going to get better if we're viewing how China has reacted to their virus situation.
Because of the lockdown.
So, yes, they were able to quarantine and they were able to finally get it under control. This is a new virus to everybody, so we're not quite sure how to deal with it. That's why the reaction is so big.
How does the public, okay, you have to have a note saying you can go somewhere. How does the public resupply their homes without a note for the grocery store, you know?
For the self-declaration forms that they have to have on them, they have to say why they are leaving their homes. If it's for medical, if it's for shopping for necessities, or if it's for an emergency or something. There are options on why to leave your home, so they are allowed to go to the store.
Right.
So,
But other than
Is there any other questions before we let Mark go?
I got one.
My last one was, how does enforcement of that really work? Or is it really people conducting themselves honorably and actually doing what they say? Or is there a way for them to actually enforce that on that mass scale?
yes, the Italian government governs their people differently from what America would do. In America, military is usually not allowed to get into civilian laws unless necessary with the National Guard. But in the Italian government, they have what is called the Cabareri, which they act as a absolute police force for military and civilian law. So local police, they try to keep it on the local levels, but if anything doesn't happen, they have the Cabareri out all the time. They are the absolute enforcers, and that's for anything. That's for everyday life. They're always out on the streets with their machine guns. They're always out patrolling, if that makes sense.
That happens all the time, regardless, right?
Yes, but they will make sure everyone complies to the new laws.
They're definitely alert.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there any other questions from our listeners?
I
before we let them
got
go?
one more. Do you have a close relationship with your chaplain?
Professionally, yes. We work hand in hand, making sure that we get the job done. Personally, it's not like we're going to each other's houses and eating barbecue. No, we're not really doing that. We're just getting the job done and then going home. So professionally, we have a good relationship.
Are you the only RP assigned to your chaplain, or do you have others?
I have 2 others.
Awesome.
Well,
So there's 3 of us at the hospital right now.
Well, Mark, we really do appreciate you letting us call you and talking to us today. And we look forward to talking to you more here in a couple weeks to see how everything's progressing. And also just know that you're in our prayers because you're out there where it's really, really, it's way worse than it is here. And, we're praying for you anyways because you're doing a great service even the soul of man will benefit because of what you do and what your chaplain does. But we're going to have to get off here. We're just about out of time. So that's all we got for now. Do you have any final words to go out on?
Thank you for having me on air today. It's actually enjoyable talking to somebody about this. So, yeah.
All right. Well,
have a good day.
All right, you too. God bless you.
Mark.
Thank you.
God bless you too.
Take care, buddy.
Mark Rooster.
That's him, my buddy. I've got 4 boys, and somebody's asking. My oldest
Great
is
call.
Luke, then Mark, then Matthew, then Malachi. I'm John. We're going in reverse if you're following the books of the Bible. But Mark is our military guy, and it's fun to have these guys growing up.
I think you should shoot for Genesis.
Yeah.
Really?
You know, you get a certain time in life, you don't want to keep having children, and life doesn't always create that. Grandkids is what I'm looking for next.
Right.
You know,
that's the next step.
Hey,
Get you to
and
Genesis.
I-
My oldest son is married,
He's
so
a good. Mark's a good-looking kid.
he's taken after his mother. You're right. So
Oh, we can definitely see you in him.
awesome.
Though.
Well, I enjoyed having him in my care and when the day was right, and I miss having him close by. It's not the same when your kid isn't just down the road. He's across the world during a crisis. I must say, as a parent, I'm going to talk to you guys. Just say, if you are a parent of a military person and your young son or daughter is out there across the world, I get it. It's
wow.
not easy not having them home.
Thank you for that, John.
And I appreciate you guys. I'm not military, but I definitely empathize with people who go through that.
That was so well said.
It was, and
And thank you, parents of the military.
yeah, and thank you, wives and husbands, because they're
children.
That's a service for
parents
them
are in
too.
the
That's a
military.
service
Yes.
for them too. And I'm just going to remind everybody on Tuesday this week, or next week rather, since the Something to Celebrate crew is self-quarantining, we're going to use that hour to have a call-in show for people who want to just want to talk, or people who want prayer and things like that. Or
Scratch around in the corn.
yeah, scratch. Anyways, I think you're going to be working Tuesday, aren't you?
Tuesday, quite likely. I work at a grocery store, and there's a high demand.
yeah, there is.
When they don't need me, I will be here.
Good. We appreciate that, and great show today, guys.
Take joy in the Lord.
Take joy in the Lord. We never got around to that scripture, but just search it on Google. A joyful spirit is good medicine.
It is good.
Also, one thing I wanted to talk about, I got just maybe 1 minute. I just thought it was ironic. Not ironic. I don't believe in coincidences. Okay, so today is the 26th.
Okay.
Right? The year is 2020.
Okay.
Right? So, Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20. Here's what it says. Come, my people, enter your chambers and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourself, as it were, for a little moment until the indignation is past.
Wow.
And that was
Whoa.
not us looking up dates and
Oh
numbers.
my gosh! And here's
that
the
was
first-
because we were wanting to address and searched something and about that it was relative to our situation right now.
and it happened to be the date.
And that was the one that came up, and it happened to be the date.
If you're a numerology person, that's definitely a significant thing. But
Well, I'm not
26,
superstitious,
20.
but I do believe that God is
Divine
sovereign,
appointment.
and that may be a way for Him to speak to those of us who are careful about what thoughts may pop into our head, and may not always attribute those to the Holy Spirit, but may need some actual tangible evidence. And I
Yes.
think that is good for all of us to recognize that we didn't search a date. We searched a scripture, and it happened to be that.
Well, actually, I had saw something about that last night. That's why I brought that up. We were searching other scripture. I apologize for that. It's time for us to get out of here, folks. To my understanding, Skylar Carter should be here today. If not, we might go ahead and come on the air and open up the phone lines if something happens and he's decided to self-quarantine. But as far as I know, he'll be here for the Power Hour. Today's Thursday. Yeah, the Power Hour with Skylar Carter. So, yeah, power! I got power!
I like how you say that.
All right, so thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Morning Drive today. We'll be back on tomorrow. Same time, same channel. So until then, my friends, God bless you and God keep you. We love you. My name is Matt,
My name is Jay.
Johnny Rooster.
and this has been
The Morning Drive.